You really have got a lid on it, haven't you? What's your secret? Mellow jazz, bongo drums, huge bag of weed. Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more worked up than the Hulk buying pants.
Welcome to episode number 19. I'm Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother Josh Winter and our geeky friend Jason Summer. In this episode, we are giving our full review of the new Prey film on Hulu, our review of DC League of Super Pets, and our initial impressions of The Sandman on Netflix. In the news side of things, we're discussing the streaming wars between giants like Disney and Netflix, more DC drama and speculation, and more. And before we get going, share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and also follow us on social media. Eat Sleep Nerd on Instagram and Eat Sleep Nerds on Twitter. Jason.
Yes.
Josh.
What?
Hi.
Hey. Hey.
Yo.
Hey. Okay.
What up? How you been doing this week, Corey? You're always asking how we do as we enter these episodes. How are you? Tell
I'm
us
so glad you
asked.
asked. No one ever asks me that.
Okay.
I feel so left
Right?
now.
You do.
A lot of the time it's hard to get a word in edgewise.
That's
honestly, this week kind of sucked. I didn't have much time for any like recreational activities outside of the things we were tasked to watch. So that kind of sucks. I didn't get to play any video games or anything. I barely touched my Legos. So,
That is upsetting when a grown man can't touch his Legos.
I know. I did get my new Lego Sanctum Sanctorum set in the mail this week.
There
So
it is.
we'll be building that soon.
Yeah, you showed that picture. That looked pretty awesome.
Fun. That's gonna be a fun.
You should post updates on the website
of my Lego build.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a vehicle for Corey's obsession. I mean, hobby.
Isn't that exactly what this is?
I would argue that's pretty nerdy.
I have thought about sharing my Lego stuff on Instagram just
Yeah.
occasionally, but I don't know.
You should just start your own Lego Instagram page.
I have heavily considered becoming a YouTuber.
Just bear witness to the monetization of my interests.
I mean, yeah. Isn't that like the whole
That's
point of having a
literally
hobby
the idea.
nowadays?
That's what YouTube
That's the
does these
whole idea.
days. YouTube is like, hey, here's my hobby. Enough of you guys want to watch it. YouTube will pay me money, and I can keep doing my hobby. Yay!
Yeah.
Which
you could try to fetishize it. Do a Lego OnlyFans.
Stop.
Wear some hoochie daddy shorts and put Legos
You know what?
together.
That's
Oh, here you go.
probably
You
already
can
a thing.
do Lego destruction videos.
That's already a thing.
Build up. Oh,
Already,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Lego's
But
actually
it's
very
okay if
big
it's
on
already a
YouTube.
thing if you do it better.
How can you really
Okay.
do Lego destruction better? Isn't it just like a all one thing?
Actual explosives.
You know, they actually did that in Lego Masters Season 2 last year. They actually used actual explosions to blow up the sets they just built. It was actually pretty cool.
Okay, the detonator device, it has to be made out of Legos.
Out of Legos.
I
Right,
think it
yes.
did that. Actually, we all our net got to use. You're just
I'm
No,
just
it's
behind the
behind the
curve.
curve.
I'm behind the
Behind the
curve.
curve.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? At least I know that I have ideas that have been utilized. It's not like I've got.
He came to them independently.
I did. There's
I guess
that.
that's something.
And they're immediately validated because they're already in place. That's what I need. That is like pre-instant gratification.
So basically, you're the cheerleader of other people's ideas.
Everybody's
not
got a
even on
role
the
in
team.
life.
Yep.
Mine is just supporting other people. I got all of your backs.
So what about you, Josh? What have you done this week? I know you've had a busy week, but I did see you playing Marvel's Spider-Man in your spare time, the little that you had.
No, so I didn't even get to do that.
What?
That was a video. Yeah, that was.
Oh,
a
you were watching someone
video
else playing. Okay.
of someone else playing it. So Spider-Man just came out on PC. It's the latest PlayStation exclusive to make its way over to PC. And being a PC snob, I wanted to see how much better it looked on PC versus PS5.
Mhm.
So IGN had a max settings, ultra settings video, and I wanted to see if it was worth downloading. because I've already played it on PS4. I've already played it on PS5. But if it looked amazing on PC, I was going to do it. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. I'll probably wait for it to come down to like $40 and then get it.
Mm-hmm.
But while I was watching that, Philip, my littlest one, came over with a big old bag of Doritos and just stood there, fixated too. Just stood
cool,
there.
dude.
Yeah, it was pretty cute.
So I've been trying to teach all the kids about superheroes because I want them to know about the important things in life.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrison's kind of hit or miss, my oldest, but Philip has latched onto a couple of them. He really, really, really likes Spider-Man.
Heck yeah, he does.
He gets crunk about the Hulk.
Really?
Like anytime you see it, it's just Hulk.
Well, okay, so it's also important to note Philip, when he gets older, he's probably going to be Hulk. Like, he's going to be a big boy.
He's already Hulk. He's a little baby Hulk. If we just dyed him green, it would work out.
Yeah, he's a brute.
So yeah. That was a lot of words to say no, even when it looked like I was playing something I wasn't. I was watching someone else play something for about
fantastic.
60 seconds. Yeah.
What about you, Jason? Are you still playing what were you playing last week? I forget.
I was playing Outer Wilds.
Mm-hmm. See, I remember Outer Wilds.
Yeah, I did. I didn't have much time in the way of video gaming this week. I did go to the movies, and I actually talked up Eat Sleep Nerd for a bit to the people that I ran into there. And I just,
if you're listening, hi.
Yeah. So I do want to put out an apology to those guys. If you're all listening, I did tell you we're going to cover Nope and Metropolis this week. We're going to have to push that back to next week, but we're still going to. So
if there's anything to know about this show, our programming schedule is fluid at best.
It's a little fluid. No. Most of the time we're pretty on the spot, but
yeah, this has been a recent thing where we had to reshuffle things.
Yeah, we had to reshuffle things, but I did go see Nope, and we're going to talk about that next week. I do recommend that you go see it.
You start hitting up the gym? A little bit of self-improvement?
Yeah, but that's early in the morning, so I've been getting up at like 5:30.
Oh, good for you.
Going to bed at like 9:30. And so feeling good.
You're on that old people schedule. I love it.
4:30, it's about time for supper.
Give yourself about 3 years, guys. You'll be getting there. You'll be like, I'm not feeling so weak anymore at 8:45.
So a couple of programming notes. So I do want to note, like Jason said, we're reshuffling what we were expecting to review and talk about on this episode. So on next week's episode number 20. Yes, that is actually coming up next week on August 23rd. We will be talking about Nope, the new Jordan Peele movie. It's not really new anymore. We're a little bit behind the curve on that one, but we do want to talk about it at some point. So
sorry, guys.
It's fine. So we will be talking about Nope on episode 20. Jason also wants us to watch a 1920s silent film called Metropolis. I'm not sold on that yet, but we're going to do it. We're going to commit. I don't know if I can stand 2.5 hours of silence, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about the reasoning and everything when we talk about the movie.
Yes.
But yes.
I'm sure it'll be a fun time.
I'm excited about it.
I know. It's cute. We'll also be talking about She-Hulk episode 1. She-Hulk does start airing on August 18th on Disney Plus. So we will be reviewing the first episode on our podcast, episode number 20. And just some fun things for you to look out for. Coming up, coming out now. It's airing on Disney Plus. I Am Groot. The I Am Groot shorts are now airing on Disney Plus.
I saw that.
We might talk about that in passing if we have time. Coming up soon is the new Game of Thrones House of the Dragon on August 21st. Saints Row, the new video game, is coming out on August 23rd. I'm going to try my best to talk about that one. Also coming out soon, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is coming out in September. I should have had that date put on there. And then also Star Wars Andor is coming out on September 21st. We will be talking about both Star Wars Andor and The Rings of Power on this podcast when they start airing. All right, let's get into the nerdy news. And this is kind of not really like it's all just kind of coming out over the past couple months, but I do want to talk about the streaming wars between Disney, Netflix, WBs, all those people.
Everybody and their mom has a streaming platform now.
Yeah. And so at one point in time, we actually kind of talked about making this a full Geek Dive episode, but we just kind of lost steam on the topic. So I want to talk about just real quick because a couple of like tidbits came out this week that I think are worth talking about. So the first thing, with a little asterisk next to it, Disney and all of their streaming services, so Disney Plus, Hulu, they have a couple other
ESPN.
ones. ESPN.
Yeah.
They have officially surpassed the subscriber total of Netflix. And I put a little asterisk after that because Disney does do bundles for their streaming services. And so they're actually kind of double counting some. So like if one person has Disney Plus and Hulu, they're counting that person twice. That's fine. All of Disney's subscriptions are totaling officially 221.1 million, and Netflix is at 220.67. So
I want to go back to these counts.
Mm-hmm.
Why does Disney doing a double count? Explain that.
So
yeah, Josh, go ahead. I was going to read this little paragraph explaining it, but go ahead.
So Disney does do a bundle where you get all three services for like a $20 a month or something like that.
Right.
But unlike Netflix, which only has one streaming service, Disney has technically three different services.
Right.
So, for example, if I had a subscription to Disney Plus, but then completely separately have a subscription for Hulu, which, by the way, is exactly how I do it, they count me twice.
Which, I mean, it's not really counting you twice. Like, yes, you are one unique person, but you do have two subscriptions to their services.
Correct. I am paying them twice.
See, and I think that is disingenuous. Because, like, for example, like I have Disney Plus. I don't want Hulu. And so that's a Disney Plus subscription. If I get Hulu, that shouldn't be counted as a Disney Plus subscription.
It's not. It's counted as a Disney subscription.
Right, but they're totaling it all together.
Yeah, because as a company, Disney has more subscribers than Netflix as a company.
Yeah, and I know I'm arguing semantics. I know that.
No, that's fine.
It's my favorite kind of argument.
I think it's the semantics that need to be clarified here. So
yeah,
subscriptions in this metric are not people. So they're talking specifically about the number of paid subscriptions they have, not the number of paying customers they have.
Are customers not people?
No. So yes, for every Netflix subscription, it does make sense to assume that means each subscription is a unique person. Because why would you have multiple Netflix subscriptions? But with Disney services, because they have multiple platforms that you can have a subscription to, they're more worried about the subscriptions themselves, the actual money version of the metric.
Total money in.
Yeah. They don't actually care about the number of unique customers they have, because it doesn't matter as long as the number of paid subscriptions they have is greater. So they actually break these numbers down. Disney Plus has 152 million subscriptions. ESPN Plus has 22.8 million. Hulu and Live TV combined have 46.2 million.
Okay, so we do have the Disney Plus by itself.
Yes.
Number.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My mistake.
No, they were never trying to obfuscate.
Okay. Good word. Nice.
Thank you.
I will send you your quarter for that.
Thank you.
That's a quarter word right there. 25 cent
Apple
word.
Pay it.
Yes. I almost said it by Apple. No, they don't let you do decimals. Just so you know.
Down payment on the next three words.
Another thing that came out this week is that Disney Plus and Hulu are actually getting price hikes. They are the latest streaming services to say that they are raising prices this year. So Disney Plus is also introducing an ad-supported tier, which will cost $7.99. The ad-free version, meanwhile, will raise to $10.99, which is an increase of $3 per month. As for Hulu, it's jumping up $2 per month from $12.99 to $14.99 starting on October 10th. Meanwhile, the ad-supported version will rise from $6.99 to $7.99. And this is just the latest in a string of price hikes for all these streaming services. And so actually, Josh, you shared an article that CNN Business wrote, called "The Streaming Wars Are Over." So Disney Plus kind of launched this streaming wars unofficially back when they launched Disney Plus in 2019. And, all these platforms have been kind of fighting for for subscribers. Netflix has obviously been struggling as they've been losing subscribers. Disney Plus is obviously gaining subscribers slowly but surely. But now we have all these price hikes. They're introducing ad-supported tiers.
I clicked the article because you know me, I'm a clickbait fanatic.
Yeah.
And a good headline gets me every time. And so I wanted to know why they were saying the streaming wars were over. They never really backed up that headline too much, other than saying the numbers that you just talked about, which were basically that Disney had surpassed Netflix. And so the way they were determining whether or not the war was over was assuming the goal of the war was to beat Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair assumption. It's not really over. I would argue the streaming wars are just getting started because, as we said at the beginning of this, every major studio now has a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them. And we added this up at work the other day. As you guys know, I sell audio video stuff in theaters and whatnot. And all the time we're telling people to cut the cord, get off regular cable because it's a ripoff, and do streaming instead. It'll be at a higher quality. Fun fact, most cable comes in at 720p. Not even, forget 4K, it's not even full high def. Whereas if you stream it, almost everything is in 4K, even regular cable shows. So we're constantly telling people to start streaming. And we added it up. If you got every single streaming service, you're well over what it costs to just have cable.
What was the total?
If we added it all up and assumed that your internet bill is about $100 a month, which is what most people's are if they have just internet, you're right around $250.
Which
if you got
is
every major, which is your high end cable package. Yeah. Now there's some benefits. Like I said, it comes in at a higher quality if you stream it. Everything is on demand, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be there when it comes on. So I mean, there's trade-offs, and I would still argue it's the better way to do it. But if the goal was to save money, that's not what's going to happen anymore. And even since we started doing this show, since we try to watch everything popular, we all pretty much have a subscription to every major platform now.
Yeah.
And it adds up. It really does.
Yeah. So now, I guess, especially with these price hikes, it's no longer the cheaper option. I guess you do get more content and it's all on demand, so you can watch stuff when you want. So like, it is a better buy.
Like I said, I would still argue it's the better way.
However, so I'm on both sides of the aisle because I have Apple TV, I have Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, but I also still have, technically it's DirecTV Stream, but it's basically AT&T cable. But the only reason I still have AT&T is because it's the only way to watch the Atlanta Braves. The only way to get the Bali sports channels, like the regional channels, is through a cable service. Like there's no way to stream it online unless you have something like AT&T.
Are the Braves worth that kind of investment?
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh,
but in this family, in this family, it is.
Now, if they were the Yankees or the Mets, I may do that. But
get out.
I'm kidding. I'm just giving Corey.
We seem to have lost Jason.
His satellite crashed.
But no, so I mean, there is obviously a huge benefit to streaming services, but there's still a downside. Like there's still services like Bali Sports regional sports channels that are just holding on to cable services for dear life, and they're not offering streaming options anywhere. Which it's just.
So here's what's going to happen though: and our baby boomer father called this 4 years ago. People are getting to the point where they're going to start picking and choosing which platforms they have.
Yeah.
And it's going to end up being things like the one I'm worried about is Paramount Plus. I love Paramount Plus. Like it has all the Star Trek stuff on it. It's actually got a lot of little shows that I enjoy watching. It is probably not even in the top 3 as far as like number of subscribers go. So I'm constantly worried that they're going to shut down Paramount Plus, which means we lose things like Strange New Worlds and stuff like that. And so what's going to end up happening is if you don't have one of the best streaming services, one of the top subscribed streaming services, I'm always worried that you're going to be in a constant state of, well, are we going to shut it down this month? Is this the last quarter? You know what I mean? And I think that's what is happening with Netflix right now
Mhm.
is the decisions they've made, especially as far as content go, no longer justifies the price that I have to pay for Netflix. It is still the single most expensive streaming service.
By twice
And
or better.
Yeah, and it has the least to watch. So I think there's a lot of people who do like I do. When that one show that I want to watch comes out, I subscribe for a month, and then I let it lapse until the next show I want to watch comes out. I no longer have just a rolling Netflix subscription. I manage the crap out of that.
I should probably turn off my Netflix subscription. I don't use it.
Right? There's nothing to watch on it
Yeah,
right now.
I was just thinking, like, everything that I've watched on there recently is either a sporadic new episode or new series that I wanted to check out, or something I've already watched before, which actually, it's not even my favorite stuff that I've watched before. So
You just have it on.
Like the binge watch multiple times shows are no longer on Netflix. Ever since they lost Friends and The Office, like it's
Exactly.
Netflix is not good for that anymore. That used to that's how they got all their subscribers to begin with.
Yeah, and they're still operating under that assumption, and that's an incorrect assumption.
The reason why they keep Netflix is one of the things that they're cutting back on is that people throughout my family use my account, and they're about to start charging you for that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, what's the point? Yeah, interesting. Netflix, what are you doing? What are you doing, Netflix?
So I say all that to say I don't think the Netflix wars. I think we should
That
call
is
it
what it is.
I don't think the Netflix wars are ending. I think at most we're in the middle, but you're gonna have to see some seismic shifts.
Yeah, we're in a lull, and I think all of the streaming services are realizing, okay, we need to make some big shifts now. Like it actually just came out recently. So like Netflix, I think it was last year, maybe early this year, introduced games on Netflix. They actually launched like a whole video game service. Literally no one has played them. Only less than 1% of all Netflix subscribers have played at least one of their games.
I just learned this week that Netflix had games.
Yeah.
Now they're for your mobile device.
Mhm.
They're not on consoles. You know, like you can't play them through your TV. You can't play them through your smart TV or through your console or anything. They're on specifically for mobile devices.
Yeah.
But what kind of failure of advertisement from Netflix is that?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that was the beginning of Netflix trying to branch out because they saw the sinking ship coming, and obviously that didn't work. So I think now we're about to get into the next phase because Disney's also kind of experiencing this where they need to do something drastic to prevent these ships from sinking.
It is worth noting that despite the increase in subscribers that Disney experienced, last quarter, their streaming services lost $1 billion.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. So that's actually why they're raising their prices, is because despite the subscriber growth, they're bleeding money.
Their platforms are more expensive to run than the amount of money they're bringing in. Now, it's Disney. Like, they're fine.
They can make that up elsewhere.
Yeah, the parks alone generate an obscene amount of money a year. I mean, like, they'll be fine. But yeah, it's worth noting the people who were bragging about how they toppled Netflix, and I agree with their overall assessment. They did. They brought in more dollars than Netflix did. You win. Was not enough to break even.
Mm-hmm.
They're $1 billion short.
Now I know that from a business perspective, what I'm about to talk about makes sense, but this is the stuff that really, really infuriates me about these streaming services. So we had to watch Prey, which was a 20th Century Fox production, which is owned by Disney.
Correct.
Okay. Where was it streaming? Hulu.
On Hulu.
Right.
Owned by Disney.
So I had to subscribe, albeit briefly, to another service just to watch a Disney-owned production, but not on a Disney platform, not on the Disney Plus platform. I was kind of incensed by that. Like, honestly, it kind of colored how I went into watching the movie. Like, I was just angry to start out with. Anyway, I just don't like it when it's like they're forcing your hand.
I do think eventually they will combine all of theirs into one platform.
Right.
But at that point, it's going to go from a $12 subscription to like a $20 subscription a month.
Well, I think at that point, there's going to be like tiers.
Right.
What bundles do you want? Yeah. What package? Yeah. That would make sense.
Kind of how cable channels or cable services typically work.
Yeah, which is what our father said. It's going to end up being just the digital version of cable.
Yeah.
And then you guys were talking about
fine.
picking and choosing platforms. I'm already there.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Maybe we
see.
will get to a Geek Dev at some point. I didn't know you guys were going to want to talk about it that much. It's okay.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't either.
Turns out we have thoughts.
We have thoughts. I'm sure we'll want to talk about it more when the prices actually do go up and we have to start paying more. So, but using that as a segue into our next story, it's actually several stories in one. I just want to do a little update on the DCEU drama and some speculation.
We can have a running sideshow.
We
on the DCEU
we basically do. So the first story coming out, it was pretty surprising considering past reports that we got. The Batman 2 has not yet been greenlit, despite the fact that it was announced by WB at this year's CinemaCon. We actually covered the story in our podcast. I will have to go look up what episode it was. But yeah, despite being in development with Matt Reeves returning as director and Robert Pattinson returning as Batman, it has not yet been greenlit. So actually, there is a slight chance that this movie doesn't move forward.
I think that would be a bad idea for DC.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers.
In the same report from Variety, they also mentioned that it is several years away from release.
If it gets released.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like we learned with Tomb Raider. You can announce something, but that doesn't actually mean it's greenlit.
So that's what gave me pause about this, is that, we thought a Tomb Raider sequel was coming, but because it was never greenlit, that meant it got canceled. So is the same thing going to happen here? Are they going to lose the rights to Batman somehow?
Well, they won't lose the rights, but to me, that sounds like someone putting it out there. Because again, I still think their plan is just to do clean slate.
Yeah.
Cancel everything. Clean slate. To me, that sounds like someone going, just so you know, I never said we were doing a sequel to the Batman.
But yeah, like I agree with Josh. It sounds like they're holding off and actually officially
trying to ease you into that
in case they decide to cancel it. Yeah.
Just
Stop
so
it.
you know.
Stop it, Josh. Stop it.
Just so you know.
I know. He's putting it out there. That sounds like a prediction.
All right. So my question comes up because I'm looking at the agenda that Corey has here, but it makes me wonder why the heck that they're doing this next thing that Corey wants to talk about is a Penguin series.
Yes.
Starring Colin Farrell from the Batman movie. Well, so far, the Batman movie. Why the Penguin? Why are we even doing?
Well, first of all, Colin Farrell was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, not awesome enough to get his own series.
I think it could be intriguing.
He was. I mean, there were certain. He was all right. I mean, I don't know. I'm just. Why not do a Batman series?
Like honestly. I know the reasoning based on old Warner Brothers. It served two purposes. One, it was the lead in to set up the status quo for the Batman 2. The idea being that Batman 2 will probably take place several years after the Batman. So they want to be able to bridge that time with how did the Penguin rise to power and stuff like that. So it sets up that movie. But remember, old Warner Brothers' plan was to put as much stuff on HBO Max as possible. As much content as possible. We are going to blow people up with HBO Max.
So this was a quantity versus quality thing.
To me, it's interesting that they're saying they're moving forward with it.
Yeah.
To me, this would have been a project that got the axe.
Right.
So the fact that they're moving forward with it actually makes me feel like the Batman 2 is more safe.
Yeah. I mean, surely it is. It made $700 million at the box office in a pandemic. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe. But yeah, so this report that Jason was mentioning coming out from Deadline, they say that the upcoming Penguin series is safe from cancellation and is eyeing a spring 2023 production start. So it's actually coming up pretty soon. But actually just moving into other DC projects that may or may not be coming. So Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Gadot.
God, I'm always so good about that, but I missed this time. I'm sorry. Gal Gadot will reportedly be featuring in several major upcoming DC movies. And from my reliable source from Inside, she has already shot several of the scenes for a few of them.
Interesting.
Ever since this whole Warner Brothers Discovery shakeup, we've kind of been wondering, we're actually going to get a Wonder Woman 3, especially if it's kind of like they're phasing out the Snyder DCEU
era. Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of wondering, this is where we can talk some speculation. If that does become the case and they do kind of like want to shelve this entire universe and start over, maybe her appearing in all these upcoming movies is kind of a way to like give her character closure.
Yeah. So that's what that sounds
to make
like
people
to me.
happy, because it was a very successful couple of movies for her, and like she was very well received critically. So it would be kind of a shame to not get like some closure to her portrayal as Wonder Woman. So I think this is kind of like their way of maybe giving her character closure.
Yes. Because it's worth noting that in all of those little announcements and leaks, nowhere did it mention that Wonder Woman 3 is still happening. Like, they are being so quiet about that.
So Patty Jenkins,
they're not saying anything.
Patty Jenkins, the director of the upcoming third Wonder Woman movie, she has recently assured fans that it's still in active development. Now, that's not a confirmation, but
that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
it's
not greenlit yet.
That doesn't mean anything. I have a Star Trek fan film in my head that's in active development. Okay, like, that doesn't mean anything. That is the Hollywood equivalent of no comment, or I don't recall.
So I guess I should say it's being worked on, but it's not officially moving forward yet. So,
but it's also not officially canceled.
Yeah,
right.
So, which, like I said, I think for a lot of this, they're not going to officially cancel it. They're just going to quietly never move forward with it, and then announce their new slate of movies.
Yeah.
To me, this screams closure for Gal's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That's what this seems like.
I think that you guys are probably right on that. I hate to, and this goes back to what I was saying in I think our last podcast. We've got we had the perfect actors and actresses cast in these superhero roles for DC, and it's just, I hate that they didn't get their real journey, their due, right? That they really could have had. So I hope that if we don't get a Wonder Woman 3, that she does get her closure through these cameos.
Yeah.
So I hope that for her.
Yeah. We know that she will be appearing in some capacity in the upcoming Shazam movie. But aside from that, because this report is saying it's going to be multiple upcoming major DC movies. It could be anywhere from Black Adam
squeeze her
to
into a lot of
Shazam.
Things.
Yeah, she could be
Flash, maybe.
Yeah. So Idris Elba,
love that man,
says he has a quote, a really big thing, unquote, in the works for an upcoming DCEU project. Obviously, Idris Elba played Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad from James Gunn, and we kind of assumed he would at least reprise his role in maybe a Suicide Squad 2. But
I kept expecting him to show up in Peacemaker.
Yeah, that would have been.
I thought that would have been a cool cameo right at the end.
That would have made.
You guys can't freaking handle this, and then he just starts, whatever.
So he says a really big things in the work for DCEU, assumably as Bloodsport. Like, it would be weird if he plays some other character. So Bloodsport. Do we think this is an appearance in an upcoming movie or his own solo project?
I don't think it's Bloodsport.
Who else would he play? He's already played Bloodsport. Recently.
Black Superman.
Oh.
Val Zod, Black Superman.
Okay, I'm on.
Because again, we're rebooting.
I'm writing that down. Josh is predicting Idris Elba
was Black Superman.
All right.
So, do you think that he is young enough for that role?
Doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
No, I really don't like to answer your question. No.
Yeah.
I also acknowledge, however, that he has not aged in the last decade. So. It's either to me it is either Val Zod, Black Superman, or Green Lantern.
Green Lantern makes more sense to me.
They did not announce a Hal Jordan.
Right, it would be John Stewart.
John Stewart. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yes, actually, that ties into the next story. So Green Lantern remains on track. The new upcoming TV series. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, and here's the cool thing about that, because I was thinking about this. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. But to me, I was just like, well, that was an old Warner Brothers announcement, but it wasn't really tied to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, during the entire Snyder area, Green Lantern was off limits. They just kept saying you can't use Green Lantern because we've got something coming for Green Lantern.
Right.
So at this point, because it's not tied to anything, that could be part of their new universe. and set it up. And so I think he could very likely be Hal Jordan. God dang it, Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart. You know, I remember when Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern came out.
Mm-hmm.
And
first off, let me just say, I didn't have the seething hatred for that.
Oh no, I thought it was I mean,
it wasn't like amazing.
Yeah,
but it wasn't terrible.
I did enjoy it. But I also realized that Warner Brothers missed an opportunity to bring a black actor and with a black superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a top tier superhero that they had an opportunity, a legitimate opportunity to bring in somebody, and they didn't. And I realized that was a miss. So if they did that here, I think that
they could have even done both if they wanted to.
Oh, yeah, because they're two different people.
Yeah,
But this,
it's in the name, Green Lantern Corps. It's a core of people. Like,
yeah. So I think this would be that would be good too.
That is worth noting that there are multiple Green Lanterns, and so this Green Lantern series that is supposedly still on track to release, it is in production. It actually has 2 stars attached to it: Finn Wittrock and Jeremy Irvine. So Idris Elba could still play.
Yeah, the original outline for it was that it was basically going to be a chronology of the history of all of the Green Lanterns that have ever been on Earth, starting hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
So like even if they maintain that premise, the idea is that by the time you got to the end of the show, you will have seen 6 or 7 Green Lanterns.
So Idris Elba could appear?
Could it be? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's like if he had been playing Bloodsport, he would have said that he has a Bloodsport project coming.
Oh.
You know? Like, to me, it was weird that he didn't say what he was doing.
That is true.
That's what makes me think.
Or it could be that he's seen all of the clips and all the news and all the tweets and all of the TikToks of all the actors accidentally letting things slip when they talk about their stuff. He's just learned to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
That is his decision.
He's still scared from his MCU contract.
Yeah. Given, again, the impending reboot, I just think it would be weird for them to create new projects that take place in the previous continuity.
Yeah.
That would just be kind of weird.
It does seem counterintuitive at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving into other DC news. Yes, we still have more. According to Variety, Leslie Grace from Batgirl, the canceled Batgirl movie, could still be playing Batgirl in upcoming projects for Warner Brothers Discovery. So, newly installed Warner Brothers Pictures Group chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi are seeking to mend fences. I never get an easy one. They're seeking to mend fences with Batgirl star Leslie Grace and are entertaining the possibility of having her continue to play Batgirl in a future DC film. Well, that's nice.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it'll completely be separate from what she had already filmed.
Oh,
like I don't
for
think
sure
it'll be the same iteration of the character.
Yeah.
Like I think this is hey, we boned you over. If we do a Batgirl later on, you can be back. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think they realized that they were going to get the backlash that they did. My guess is that there were so many people who didn't even realize that there was a Batgirl movie coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That this is how they learned about it. And then they found out they were going to get canceled. And then they're like double like ticked off. Like what? And then what again?
Yeah.
You know, what squared? And then I think that's kind of what happened.
I do like that they're going to give her a part later on.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like.
It's like, yeah. Our bad. Fans, Leslie.
It's not you.
All right.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
So speaking of giving people parts, we need to talk about this last story. And it keeps coming up every couple of weeks because it's just so much behind the scenes drama. The upcoming The Flash movie starring Ezra Miller. Who knows what's going to happen in this movie because of all of Ezra's legal drama. And I couldn't even tell you all of the things that have happened because there's been so much.
Like this could be a geek dive episode.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. There's going to be a documentary about this one day.
Oh, sure. It's already in the works. So Ezra most recently has been charged with a felony burglary in Vermont, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it was a felony of some sort.
That sounds right.
So because of all this legal drama, Warner Brothers has come out and said that they have three potential plans forward for what to do with this movie. to clarify, Warner Brothers has not come out and said this publicly, but a source with knowledge of the situation has said this. So first, Warner's has received indications that their mother has been accompanying the actor in recent days and is trying to get them to seek professional help after returning home to their farm in Vermont after being away. If that happens, they will expect Ezra to give an interview at some point explaining their erratic behavior, a la maybe an Oprah-type interview where they apologize, explain their things, and if that's the case, they can do limited press for The Flash, and the movie will open as planned. The second scenario they're preparing for, if Ezra does not get professional help, Warner Brothers could still release the film, but obviously Ezra Miller would not play any role in marketing or publicity, and they've obviously said already that Ezra will not be playing The Flash going forward in any capacity at all. The third situation, which is the most epic one, if the situation with Ezra deteriorates further, so further legal troubles or something similar, they are considering canceling the movie outright, as it could not be reshot due to the fact that Ezra is basically in every single scene, and digitally removing them and recasting them would be more trouble than it's worth. And so if that's the case, they will scrap a $200 million film that, by some accounts, is actually ballooned to $300 million.
I'd believe it.
So that would be obviously completely unprecedented, but it is possible that they could do that.
Woo! There must be something important going on in this movie that they've held on to for so long.
Apparently from people that have seen it, like test screenings and stuff, it's apparently a pretty amazing movie. They say the ending needs a little work, but aside from that, it's like a epic movie.
Well, yeah, it was always supposed to be.
Yeah.
This was supposed to either be the reset or the more likely now conclusion to the quote-unquote Snyderverse. So, yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to hold on to it. I also think that we've gotten to this weird point in society where we can't separate people's work from their personal lives. So, to me, like, the idea of canceling a movie that we've invested $200 million, multiple years, basically a decade, countless people's jobs, all because the star is having a meltdown or whatever we want to call this, an episode. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, release the movie.
Yeah, honestly, to me,
like,
I agree with that. Like, Ezra is not the only person that made this movie. Obviously, hundreds and if not thousands of people have put effort into this movie, and there's been so much hype around it. It would be just kind of weird to cancel it at this point. But with just Warner Brothers' recent track record, it does seem like it's a possibility.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't think I would be particularly shocked if they canceled it. I would be wildly disappointed.
Yeah.
But not surprised.
Honestly, if I got to see all the Michael Keaton scenes in context, I'd be fine.
That's the bar for Jason right there.
That's the bar. Like, tell me why we're seeing the scene, okay? And then show me the scene, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah. The more I hear about this movie, drama aside, I'm extremely excited for it. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a really awesome movie. And so if it does get canceled, I think I will be shocked because I don't know. I want to see it.
I will be bummed. I will be bummed. I mean, Michael Keaton stuff aside, I've been looking forward to this movie too.
Well, hopefully it comes out. Hopefully nothing more dramatic happens regarding this movie. Let's quickly wrap up a couple more things I just want to touch on because we are running over on time. Moving into Marvel land. So is the Punisher returning or nah? So Rosario Dawson was at a recent convention, or was it the Comic Entertainment Expo, something like that. So she mentioned that she just heard that the Punisher is getting a new series with John Barenthal. And this just blew everybody's minds because this is the first we've heard like from a source within Marvel Studios projects that this was a thing. And so it spread like wildfire. And then a couple of days later, she tried covering her tracks, and Rosario Dawson tweeted, "I can't be trusted. Getting intel from fans during signings is iffy, apparently. My bad. I get excited. Confirmation is key when you're told what you want to hear." So is this just covering her tracks from Kevin Feige's reign, or?
I can see it cutting either way. Because we've talked before about how the Punisher's kind of iffy.
It's methodology.
Yeah, like it's because I mean, it's just in a weird spot. It's a very beloved character. Like most people will tell you they like the Punisher.
Yeah.
However, in the political climate right now, it's hard to make a show about that, even though people would like it because it's an inappropriate topic at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see it cutting either way. And the only reason I'm going to say that I still think it might be coming is because I just don't think Rosario Dawson is an idiot.
Yeah.
I just don't.
She's been in the game for a while. Like, she's doing Star Wars projects. She's been in MCU stuff since the Netflix days. Like, she knows how it works.
Yeah. So like, I just fundamentally, that is going to be my reason why I think that she just accidentally let something slip.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just don't think she's stupid. And so I don't think she would have taken the word of a fan that just, I don't know, was signing a picture for him or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
Yeah, it kind of seems like right after that video came out, she got a very angry phone call from Kevin Feige saying, okay, this is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to say it.
Look at Ahsoka.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like he's probably one of those people that doesn't yell.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's just really disappointed in you.
And you
that's
feel
worse
horrible.
than being yelled at. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I'd much rather be yelled at.
Right. He's like, can you just yell? No, we're not.
Yeah. Than have Kev disappointed at me. No, I'd rather be yelled at. So I'm sure that was terrifying.
For the Punisher though, I think in this climate, as you mentioned, and also with, how Disney still is probably erring toward the side of being a little more conservative when it comes to his content. I kind of maybe see the Punisher being more of a recurring character in Daredevil and other series.
Yeah.
That's what I see. And so Rosario Dawson may have like gotten some correct information that he was suiting up again and maybe incorrectly thought there might be a new series rather than
that's possible.
So I wonder if that's going to be the case.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. All right. One more story before we get into our review section, just because I love this.
This is all you, buddy.
So do you guys remember a 2008 movie starring Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. called Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
It would not be a movie that would be made today, but
not even a little bit.
So Tom Cruise played a character in that movie that was just way left field for his usual roles. He was a producer called Les Grossman. He was just an over-the-top, I don't even know what you would call him, just a ridiculous character that has never been played by Tom Cruise before. And it stole the show for Josh and me, I know. But so according to Deadline, Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible producer Chris McGuire are fixated on having Tom Cruise reprise his role as Les Grossman from the Tropic Thunder movie. I'm here for it. I don't know. They don't know what that would materialize as, whether it's a Les Grossman movie or a proper Tropic Thunder sequel or something, or maybe just a cameo somewhere. But I would like to see that. Please, Tom Cruise.
This is the quality of this character of Les Grossman. I'm pretty good at least recognizing and placing people in movies and like, okay, I recognize this. I didn't know Les Grossman was played by Tom Cruise until somebody pointed it out to me, and I didn't believe them.
Yeah. I think that's probably me, actually, because I made you watch this movie.
I was like,
I didn't figure it out till like halfway through the movie.
I'm like, no, I didn't even figure it out on my own. They're like, well, you know that was Tom Cruise. I'm like, bull. There's no way that was Tom Cruise.
So I say this as a huge Tom Cruise fan. Let's be honest. Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise in every movie that he's in.
Yes, agreed.
That's why you hire him. People say that like it's a bad thing. No, that is a very bankable personality.
And people like watching
like you go to the movie because it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, I mean, like that's a very reasonable position that you found yourself in because it was Tom Cruise not acting like Tom Cruise.
Which is probably why he loves the character so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only time he's gotten to play a character.
Right. He's completely out of character for him, and he probably had a blast doing it, clearly. Especially with that outtakes or the dance video at the
end credits. Yeah.
The end credit video. Yeah.
So here's my prediction for this project.
Here we go. Corey?
Paramount,
I'm on it.
which is
Okay.
Is it Paramount or Universal? Paramount, Universal.
Doesn't matter.
I know he does most of his work for Paramount, but I think Universal released that movie. My advice for how to make this work: he would either have to be a supporting character again in like a sequel, or it would need to be a miniseries where each episode is only like 20 to 30 minutes long.
Wait. It doesn't have to be a sequel. He's a producer.
Yeah, I know.
He could be doing any movie. It doesn't have to be a Tropic Thunder sequel.
Well, yeah. But another movie where he's not the main character, because that is the kind of character where you can't be around it too much or it's just going to become grating.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why I'm saying he either needs to be a supporting character or like a co-lead in a quote unquote sequel movie where they're doing another movie or something like that. Or it needs to be like a mini series and follow the comedy format where each episode is only like 20 to 30 minutes long.
Get this. This is a great example of where less is more.
We lost Jason's connection.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Like me personally, I would lean towards the movie version, because that gives you could bring back Robert Downey Jr. You could bring back Ben Stiller.
What if it's a new Tropic Thunder cinematic universe where Les Grossman is kind of the Nick Fury of the universe?
Oh my gosh.
And Robert Downey Jr. now
okay. Or you could make this work where he's the main character, but you would have to sprinkle in so many cameos that you're constantly getting distracted from it. So like it could be like a day in the life of Les Grossman as he's going around telling people what to do on movie studios. But every time he goes to visit a set, it's another cameo. Every time he goes back to the office, it's another cameo. Every time he goes back to you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You'd have to jam pack it to distract.
So kind of like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know. I think it would be a fun project and I'd watch it.
Yeah.
But if it is very character centric and he's what you're seeing 90% of the time, the movie won't be good.
Yeah. So yeah, if our audience has not ever seen Tropic Thunder before, first of all, highly recommend. Second of all, don't watch it with kids or parents or anything.
Or next to anybody that you care about.
It's a pretty raunchy movie. If you get easily offended by things, maybe it's not for you, but we highly recommend. Robert Downey Jr. was actually nominated for an Academy Award for his take on his character. And also he and Tom Cruise actually received nominations for Golden Globes for their roles in that movie. So very well acted movie.
But you have to understand that it is a satire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very important thing.
The whole point is that it's not okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you'll understand what Josh is saying or Corey is saying once you watch the movie. You'll be like, oh, just like that. You'll be like, oh.
All right, so let's get into our reviews and impressions segment. So we actually have three things we want to talk about. We want to talk about the new Prey movie, the prequel to Predator on Hulu. We want to talk about the new The Sandman show on Netflix. And we want to talk about DC League of Super Pets. And funny story, we've actually already talked about DC League of Super Pets. You just don't know about it. We have reviewed this movie before, but we lost the recording of it. It's fine. So we do want to just do a quick review of DC League of Super Pets because it is worth talking about. Obviously, it's geared towards kids, which is fine. I'm all for kids movies if they're well made. It's the story of Superman if he had a super dog come with him when he was leaving Krypton. It tugged at my heartstrings. I thought it was a fantastic movie. If you love dogs, you have a soft spot for them, especially if you're a dog parent. This movie will tug on your heartstrings. It did on mine several times. At the beginning of the movie, I cried a little bit. At the end of the movie, cried a little bit more. Because the story it's about Crypto dealing with some separation anxiety from his Superman dad because he's bringing home Lois Lane and he's kind of feeling like he's getting replaced. And honestly, I've had that thought with Danny. Like I worry when I bring people home that he thinks I'm replacing him and stuff. That storyline really tugged at my heartstrings pretty bad. But also, it was just a really funny movie. And sometimes the humor was pretty cheesy because obviously it is kind of geared towards kids. But as an adult, I thought the humor was hilarious. Like they were just nonstop puns and references to real life things I thought were just perfect. Honestly, the story was pretty awesome because the Justice League actually played a significant role. Like I kind of thought going into this movie that the Justice League was going to be kind of like throwaway characters that you see like once at the beginning and that's it. But actually, they played a pretty significant role in this movie, which was pretty cool to see Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and all of them actually fight in the climactic battle scene and stuff. The voice acting, I thought, was pretty fun, aside from two specific roles. But with John Krasinski voicing Superman and Keanu Reeves voicing Batman, I thought that was just perfect casting. However, my biggest comment with this movie is that I thought Dwayne Johnson's voicing for Crypto and Kevin Hart's voicing for, I forget his dog's name,
Ace.
I thought they didn't fit the characters at all. Like I was distracted that I was only hearing Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. Like they have very iconic voices. And like when you hear them, like it's instantly recognizable as Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. They did not fit for me as super dogs. And it kind of goes back to the whole, like, is it really still worthwhile to bring in these high profile actors to play voices? Like, it's just kind of, that's very obviously what they did in this movie. Like they wanted to get some big billable names to voice these characters and not actually get voices that would actually fit the characters. So that was kind of, I didn't like that aspect of it. But aside from just quality of the story and the characters and the humor, I thought it was a fantastic movie. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. But Jason, I know that you disagree with that.
Yes. So this, as Corey pointed out, we've already had this discussion, and it is a little interesting to have the same discussion again. But here we are. So I thought that from a writing perspective, that they tried too hard to make it relatable for adults, and a lot of it was a miss.
I will say,
yeah,
some of the writing was fantastic. A few examples: Bark Kent. Come on, that is Bark Kent, Clark Kent, Bark Kent.
Yeah. I get it. I'm just not on. Just not on board.
One pun does not make
okay.
writing.
There's more. Chuperman, Chuperman, like Superman, but a chew toy. Chuperman.
Oh, chew toy, right? And then Squeaky Bruce. Squeaky Bruce was fun.
Come on,
but see,
the puns were fantastic.
But that's the thing, is that also for me the best part of the movie were the things that were not that weren't the prime story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like all the stuff around it were the best parts of the movie. Like I liked some of the more absurdist humor in it. For example, the super pets, of course, you know, because they're pets, they could talk to each other, and they're animals, they could talk to each other. But of course, you know, the humans or, you know, non-humans, you know, Kryptonians, can't understand them. So, you know, they'll be telling them something really important, and like the camera is intense, and then they pull back and it's just like Crypto barking at Superman, which I thought was pretty funny. There were, I like the licensing, jokes. I like the trivia surrounding the movie. Like,
yeah,
I enjoyed that Keanu Reeves was playing Batman. I enjoyed that John Krasinski was voicing, Superman. The fact they actually used some really iconic, music, from in the movie. They used the Krypton theme from John Williams when they were on Krypton. They used the Superman theme a few times. They used the Danny Elfman Batman theme a few times. I really like that. That actually got me smiling.
Yeah, like the score was impressively epic.
Yeah,
like
it was a good epic. Good epic. It was a good score. But honestly, so like last time, I'm still going to give this, which you guys never got to hear, I'm going to give this 2 scores. I'm going to give it a 5 for kids as a family movie. But as an adult and as just reviewing this as a movie, I'm going to give it a 3. And so we're going to average it to a 4.
And I will say, yet again, you guys didn't hear this part. So there was a word I was struggling to think of when we originally recorded this, and I thought of it. It was extremely faithful to the source material. The little nuggets of DC lore that was sprinkled in throughout the movie, extremely faithful to DC Comics proper.
Again, but that's trivia. That is not. It's not germane to the primary story.
Hey, and you know what? It's a kids movie.
That's true. And Josh hasn't seen this one yet, so that's why he's not.
But
up so much
knowing Josh, I think he's going to really enjoy it. Like there's actually like the Batman act whenever he's in the scene, like he steals the show, but he's moody. He's moody Batman.
Yeah, he's moody and paranoid.
And there's like a couple of quotes. Like there's one Batman says, "Batman works alone, except for Robin and Alfred and Gordon." And then like a few scenes later, it cuts away. Then it comes back. And whoever Morgan Freeman played in that one movie.
Yeah. Like, yes, there were meta moments.
Yeah.
That is correct too. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some parts to appreciate, which is why, I didn't give it like, a 2 or a 1.
Yeah. So without Josh's score factored in, we are giving DC League of Super Pets a 4.5 out of 5. Let's move into The Sandman. So this is actually another DC property. In a time where Warner Brothers is struggling for good press, they come out with The Sandman on Netflix. And you know what? It's pretty good. The original comic, for those that are not aware, ran for 75 issues all the way back in 1989 to 96. It was actually one of the first few graphic novels ever to be on the New York Times bestseller list. People have been trying to adapt this to film for 30 years. Netflix got the rights to it, I think, back in 2019. And within 3 days of debuting, it's been number 1 on Netflix with over 70 million hours watched. So right out the gate, it's doing well, scoring well. Jason, I want to start with you. We have not watched this full series yet. At least I have not. We went into this knowing we got a full week, so we were going to watch 2 episodes at least. So I want to start with your take on The Sandman. Are you familiar with The Sandman comics?
I'm aware of his existence.
Okay.
That is when I worked in bookstores, I saw the graphic novels as I shelved them. That's my awareness of The Sandman. And I had heard bits and pieces when this movie or when the series came out. And I didn't know it was a big deal and that a lot of people were talking about it. Neil Gaiman, you saw a lot of tweets from him coming out about it.
But didn't he make it?
I knew
he did.
He wrote The Sandman.
Yes.
Yep. So, see, I knew that. Yay. Okay.
Good job.
Yay. So I knew that this was going to be kind of a big deal. So I'm definitely glad that we're watching it and that we're reviewing it.
Yeah. So I don't think we should give scores yet until we finish the entire series.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like it's a Netflix show where it all came out at once. Like it's not a weekly release. So once we get through this entire first season, we'll give it scores. But I want to get your initial impressions after 2 episodes. How are you feeling about it?
There's a lot of exposition going on right now, and for me, the exposition is not being done well. It feels. And I think part of this is because of my experience as a stage actor in community theater. A lot of the acting that I see reminds me of community theater level acting. Like I feel like,
okay, I can see that.
Like I might have made that choice, and then I, as an actor, and then realized that may not have been the best choice I could make upon viewing it. It had a really weird vibe to me. So there was like just certain like stiffness of action and the way that just kind of a lack of natural movement in the actors. It's hard to explain. So
no,
it kind of took away from my
experience.
Yeah, it kind of took away from my experience. In leading, and also with the type of exposition that they did, that also wasn't natural. It was very much like there were a lot of things that were talked about that for the length of the existence of these people, the conversation shouldn't have even existed. Like, it's like, well, duh, you guys know that. You guys have been around forever. You're endless. So I'm like, I know it's for our benefit, but, show, don't tell, as they say.
Yeah.
Now, having said all that, I really enjoyed both of these episodes. I think that the character that the actor that they got to play the Sandman, and no, I didn't look up his name. I thought did pretty well. He really does the mysterious vibe.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
I was just in his essentially not acting while he's imprisoned. It was intriguing.
I don't think he said a single word the entire first episode. Like he did all of his acting through his facial expressions. Yeah.
Right. And it was intriguing. He did a really good job. The story is intriguing. It's creative. It's new, which I really enjoy. Like I enjoyed not knowing anything about this. I kind of enjoy all the newness of it. So for me, it was just kind of delving into a new world, and I appreciate the world building, which is important. So I've enjoyed it. No scores. I was about to give it a score. I'm not gonna give it a score. But I'm definitely looking forward to watching this series.
So I will say, I am too, which I'm actually surprised about because
you're not a fantasy person.
I am not a fantasy person at all. Also kind of like the first episode, it was kind of it was a period piece in a way. So it was a period piece on top of a fantasy, and both of those things I don't typically like. So going into that first episode, I was like, ooh, I'm not sure I'm going to want to watch all of this. But I was intrigued. I wouldn't say I was hooked right off the bat, but I was intrigued. Like I was curious where it was going to go. I can't say I like it yet, but I can see myself liking it. By the time we got to the second episode, slight spoilers here, but I mean, it's whatever. They introduced Cain and Abel, which I was not expecting. Like I don't know anything. Like you, I don't really know anything about the Sandman. So I was not expecting just Cain and Abel to show up randomly. And I thought their scenes were actually pretty humorous. Because like
in a dark way,
in a very, very, very dark way. So I thought that was a highlight for me. Like that actually, tonally, the second episode was much different from the first. And I liked that change of pace just 2 episodes into it. So I'm curious how episodes 3 through however many they are continue to evolve. Man, there was one scene in the second episode that oh my God, it was so sad. And I'm not going to spoil it, but something dies. And that was heart-wrenching for me. But
surprisingly heart-wrenching.
But anyway, so I think for people, especially familiar with the Sandman comic and just general audiences that are interested, that like fantasy type things, I think will really enjoy this show. People not familiar with the Sandman or not interested in fantasy stuff probably will not enjoy it all that much. I don't know. There might be something there for you. But yeah, not giving scores yet. I told myself going into it, after I realized it was a fantasy type thing, if I don't like it at all, I'm not going to continue watching it. I'll just give it a default score. But 2 episodes into it, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to finish this series. So that's a good sign. But Josh has not yet seen this. We'll get him caught up by the time we give our full reviews, maybe in a couple weeks. But let's move into Prey. Josh, you're back in. So Prey. For those not familiar, Prey is a prequel to the Predator franchise that started, I think it was, back in 86, 87, something like that, with the Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator movie.
Wow.
That evolved into a whole franchise. I think it's had like 5 movies so far, plus crossovers with the Alien franchise.
Versus Predator. Yeah. It's like 7 total now. Yeah.
And the movies have been hit and miss. But then Prey comes out of nowhere. Like I did not know this movie was coming.
I had no idea it was coming.
Yeah. So it lands on Hulu, and it's Hulu's biggest premiere of all time, including both film and TV. And I want to stop short of calling it a masterpiece, but it's pretty close. Like there was very few things it did wrong in my book. I was enthralled the entire time.
Are you talking about the first Predator or the one that you watched last night?
Prey.
The movie we're talking about.
The movie.
I just want to. I was just so surprised by your review. I want my 2 hours back.
Oh, well, you're wrong.
Weird.
I hated it.
You're
I
you're
absolutely
so
hated
wrong.
that movie.
You were just upset because you had to subscribe to Hulu.
No, seriously though, I hated it. I wanted to like it. I really did. There was nothing that I liked about that movie.
That is strong
Some
feelings.
big words.
There were things that I found were intriguing. There were things that I thought I really liked. Like, I thought it was so cool that we were getting introduced to some Comanche language. I didn't even know that we could do that. That we knew it. So I liked that we got to hear some Native American linguistics. I just felt it was so contrived and so. It was pointless, guys. I felt about the same as I felt after watching the Matrix Resurrections. I was just.
That is.
I mean, it was just.
That is very surprising because I thought
You are very much in the minority on this one, dude.
Yeah,
I know it's okay. I know it's so.
Not even just with us, but like as far as like the human race goes.
Yeah, I know. I did not like
human
it.
race.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't recommend it.
Like
no.
even down to like the cinematography, I thought was fantastic because I noticed that
it was very filmic.
No,
it
like
was very...
I caught myself like listening, like I'm listening to the score, and I realized that on a certain like fourth beat, they're going to change the scenery. So they go 1, 2, 3, change scenery. 1, 2. They're going to change scenery. Change scenery. There was no nuance to the movie. Everything was like hammered home. As soon as they mentioned that damn orange flower cold, like chilling the core, I'm like, that's how they're going to hide from the predator. I knew it. Like, I'm like, there was no nuance. There was nothing. I was just like,
interesting.
Yeah, and then they did the ant being eaten by the mouse, being eaten by the snake. I knew exactly what they were doing while they were doing it. They're doing the chain of animal prey and predation. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just.
So before we get Josh's take, I want to know. So how did you feel about the OG Predator movie?
Never seen it.
Interesting. So that might be why you didn't like this movie. Come on, Jason. Okay, so that context is important to keep in mind. Okay, so in that case, Josh, I know you liked this movie. What were your takes?
I don't even know. I'm still flabbergasted at Jason's.
Okay, so I'll start. So I thought just starting with like the cinematography of it. They were doing like a lot of like low camera angles. Like most of the movie was shot from like a low angle to give you that whole like in the grass hunter predator vibe. So I thought just the takes on the directing choices were awesome. I kept track. I wanted to know how long it took before we saw the predator alien actually come face to face with, I think her name was Nanu. So I was wondering how long it was going to take for them to actually come face to face. It was 45 minutes into the movie before they had their first interaction, which I thought was
so halfway.
Yeah, like it was. They were building up the suspense for how Predator actually hunted down Naru and her tribe.
Did you actually feel suspense?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
Just wondering.
Some of the cool the ways that the Predator actually killed people was pretty creative at times. Like there was the slicey dicey net that I was not expecting that just kind of like choked the guy down.
Right, I'll admit that was kind of cool. I hate to say it, that was kind of interesting.
You hate to say it.
I hate that I enjoyed part of a movie.
I hate saying that the graphic nature of that particular device.
Okay, that checks out for Jason's Jason's personality.
I was like, oh, that was creative.
I hate that I enjoyed anything about this damn movie.
There were some one shots in the movie that I thought were pretty cool, like long one shots. The fight scene where she goes to rescue her dog at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, was actually just one big fight scene where she's fighting all the Frenchmen and kills like 6 of them.
Yeah, the long take.
Yeah, because of a long take and like pretty significantly intricate for what she was doing and did in one take. So that was pretty cool. So Josh, what are your takes on this movie?
I thought it was great. I'm surprised this didn't get a theatrical release.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking the entire time.
Well, see, I was trying to figure out why it was on Hulu, and then my brother and I were talking about it. He goes, "Well, if it was so bad, he didn't watch it." He goes, "If it was so bad, maybe Disney didn't want it on their platform." I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah, except no one thinks
No
it's
one
bad.
thinks it was bad. It has a 92% of Rotten Tomatoes. Did I just make him do a spit take?
Really darn close.
Anyway, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, so I thought it was very well shot. The cinematography was beautiful. Kind of reminiscent of The Revenant sometimes. You could tell a lot of it was done.
I was actually going to ask Jason if he had seen The Revenant, because it was reminiscent of that at times.
No, but I will agree. Okay, I will agree with Josh and Corey. I will agree with you both that the cinematography of actual wilderness was gorgeous.
Mm.
Yeah,
I did like that. That was gorgeous. That was pretty.
I could tell the animals were CGI, but I mean, it wasn't bad. But the things that I like have a little bit more to do with the way the story was put together and the mythology that we kind of got into. So I do think this was probably the first predator that has ever been to Earth. And it was cool to see that a little bit, because traditionally the predators only hunt the apex predator. That's this is supposed to be like their coming of age thing, is they go and they hunt. And so in the previous movies, they've always only really cared about the humans. Every once in a while, you'd see them kill a little bit of wildlife, but usually because it was messing with them. They didn't go out of their ways to hunt it. This one hunts everything he sees. And you can see it's kind of, they kind of play into that with what Jason was talking about. You see the progression of the predator food chain. And so anytime the predator sees something kill something else, he wants to kill that, because that proves that he is the apex predator.
Yeah.
And so it's only towards the end of the movie that he's only killing people, because at that point he has realized people are the apex predators. So he wants to be the apex predator and kills at that point for the rest of the movie.
So he's learning what the ecosystem
I don't think
is on Earth.
The way of the land.
First. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's very much the reconnaissance predator for Earth. And it's also cool to see that predator technology progressed in the 400 years between this movie and when he meets Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So his armor is much less sophisticated. His targeting system is much less sophisticated. He doesn't even have the bottom half of his mask. And the top half of his mask is organic. It's made of bone. It's not even metal. And so to see kind of a regression of all of their firearms and tools and hunting equipment is cool. Like it's I think a lot of the time when we do aliens, we just assume they've been incredibly high tech since forever. It was kind of neat to see that, no, 400 years ago, he had to do a little bit more by hand. And of course, they did that with all the gratuitous gore that you could expect. So no, and then my favorite little bit, which you don't catch unless you've watched all the Predator movies, is at the very end, they kind of, it's double sided. It sets up kind of what Jason was talking about, a little bit of hitting more on like the imperialist expansion into Native American culture, but the flintlock pistol. Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with the Predator series, this is the same pistol that at the end of Predator 2, when the Predator goes home and kind of acknowledges that, the other folks won the fight, he tosses this pistol to Danny Glover, kind of as you can have a trophy from the last time we were here because you won. And it's that pistol.
Oh.
So we know at some point between this movie and the other Predator movies, they set themselves up for a sequel, because we know at some point the Predators are going to come back and be victorious and take this pistol with them when they leave.
Interesting.
So,
okay,
because they have to take it with them in order to give it back later. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. So no, I thought it was great. I thought this movie came out of nowhere. I vaguely heard that there might be a Predator movie coming like a year ago. Then they did a really good job of not saying anything about it until they dropped it on Hulu.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Did not touch my phone one time. So let's give our scores for Prey. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. Josh?
5 removed skull and spines out of 5.
And Jason, the dissenter.
1.
Wow. That is our first one. Is it okay? Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm calling it. He was still just pissed that he had to subscribe to it.
Guys, seriously, I went in objectively. I really did.
Nah, if this had been on Amazon or something, he would have been like, 3 out of 5. It was okay for you.
All right. Well, as a team, we're giving it a 3.67 out of 5. That does not feel right. That's the first time I felt the score did not feel right on this.
We got to put it on a curve.
No. Do not say that my score isn't valid. Do not do that.
Oh, it's valid. Just wrong.
And not valid then.
All right, so that's it for this episode of Eat Sleep Nerd. We will be back next week where we will be talking about Nope, Metropolis, and She-Hulk Episode 1, and whatever else we think about talking about.
Remember to share. Do the 2-2 thing.
The 2-2 thing?
We're gonna tell 2 people.
Find 2
you
friends.
Tell 2 people.
Oh, that.
And they got to tell 2 people.
I thought you were
Share
giving
this
out some
stuff.
kind of code or something.
No.
Okay.
No.
2-2 thing.
You guys all have a good week, though. The truth is out there.
Take it easy, people.